Hello, everyone, and my God, does it feel good to be back? Doesn't it feel good to just be recording and talking about the Super Bowl? We've talked about so much NFL content this season. Every week, every trade, every big game, every big performance, we covered it. And it's finally capped off with the Super Bowl. So, with that being said, it's going to be a long episode just dedicated to the Super Bowl, the outcome, the future, situations, the calls. But then after this, it's going to be a lot of NBA, and that's mainly what it's going to be, a lot of NBA and a lot of college basketball coming up in the future. Obviously, NFL offseason, we're going to talk about that. But this is the end of the NFL season. It's been a great ride. It's been a great season. It was great, starting. This is where it all started for us at Double OT, was the 2022-2023 NFL season. So it was a great ride. We're going to cap it off with this episode talking about the Super Bowl, and we're not going to waste much time. We're going to get right into it. And I mean, when talking about the Super Bowl, we have to begin with just kind of a recap of the game, what happened. So obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Philadelphia Eagles last night in a 38-35 game. John Roder, as you know, diehard Eagles fan. We'll get him on soon. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the Eagles. We'll talk about their future. Talk about the game. Because, he was obviously upset about that holding call. I posted a TikTok today just kind of going over the call and what I thought about it. I think it was the right call. I think it was a hold. Obviously, given the circumstance, it's a hard call to make. But I think it was the right call. I think it was a hold. Even Bradbury admits it's a hold. So when the corner admits it's a hold, you can't really do much about that. But 24-14 was the score going into halftime. Mahomes had a 3-and-out, hurt his ankle, looked like everything was going downhill. Eagles got the ball back, hit a field goal right before halftime to go into to half. 24-14 was the score. Mahomes had 4 touchdown scoring drives in the second half. 2 of them were wide open passes, one of them being the Tony and one of them being the Sky Moore. One of them was a Pacheco run. And actually, no. 3 touchdown drives. One of them was the game-winning drive, which resulted in the game-winning field goal. Obviously, Mahomes had a great second half, had a great game overall. The Chiefs offense stepped up big. Juju Smith-Schuster had big completions. Travis Kelce had big completions. Isaiah Pacheco was running the hell out of the ball. Like, you could just tell he was fired up. And it just the key to the Chiefs' offense, the key to Chiefs' success yesterday was their offensive line. The Eagles, who led the league in sacks this year, had 0 sacks. They didn't get to Mahomes one time. So Mahomes on a bad ankle could not afford to be touched, and the O-line did just that. Orlando Brown, Creed Humphrey, all those boys up front did an absolutely phenomenal job. Not a single sack on Mahomes, and that was really the key. Mahomes had time in that pocket, and he absolutely delivered. Great play calling by Andy Reid. I mean, absolute genius in the red zone. They did not fail to convert in the red zone. Harrison Butker did miss a 42-yarder in the first half, which was unfortunate at the time. Didn't come back to bite them, luckily. But, I mean, the play call with Sky Moore, you saw the motion, the fake motion. The DB ran all the way to the other side. Sky Moore wide open. Used the same play call twice, worked for Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. And Kadarius Toney had the longest punt return in NFL history. Absolutely huge return. Set up the touchdown. I believe that touchdown set up that set up the Sky Moore touchdown. That was, just great to see from a former Giant. That brought me a little bit of smiles. We're still contributing to the Super Bowl. Huge run from Toney. I mean, big plays on the Chiefs end. But for the Eagles, I feel like the Eagles played a great game. Jalen Hurts played a phenomenal game. And even Patrick Mahomes tipped his hat to Hurts at the end of the game in his post-game interview, saying he cemented himself. He played a hell of a game. And I would just have to agree. Jalen Hurts threw for 4 touchdowns, 300-something yards. He was getting it done on the ground. Their 3rd-and-1 QB sneak where he just, pushes forward with the O-line, absolutely unstoppable. If it's 3rd-and-1, they're going to get it every time. And Hurts was running touchdowns. He had that huge play after huge play. Long touchdown to A.J. Brown, 46-yard pass to Devontae Smith. And he got the 2-point conversion with his legs, barreled in to tie the game at 35. Huge response. Huge, 3rd and 4. They had that one, the 3rd and 14 to Dallas Goedert, where they had the reviewer. Goddard grabbed it in on the sideline. Huge play. He was making 3rd down after 3rd down after conversion after touchdown. Hurts played a great game, and he didn't have a fair chance at the end. Obviously, if the holding call is called, he has a minute 48 to drive down the field. We could see what he does. but he wasn't given that opportunity. He was going up against another great quarterback and another great team, put up a great fight. And I don't think you can put the blame on Hurts at all. And the Eagles actually did exactly what you'd want to do against playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands, possess the ball, run the ball, and dominate the offensive time of possession and keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands. And they did exactly that. I think they possessed the ball for what? Was it 40 minutes? I think it was around 40 minutes. I mean, you got 15, you got 4 50-minute quarters. So that's it. That's 60 minutes. And I think they had the ball for at least 40. So they had the ball for at least 66% of the game. And that was exactly what you need to do. They were running the ball with Miles Sanders. They were running the ball with Hurts. They were running the ball with Gainwell. They were making big third down completions. They were draining that clock. I remember in the third quarter, the Chiefs started with the ball, right? They came down. They scored a touchdown in like 3-4 minutes. And then they didn't get the ball back with until 3 minutes left on the game clock. Like the Eagles were just driving and just running the ball and draining clock and converting. Everyone stepped up with the Eagles. Goddard had a great game. Devontae Smith had a great game. A.J. Brown had a great game. The running backs all had a great game. Only thing you can knock Jalen Hurts for is that fumble, which was a tough fumble on that RPO. Try to run the ball. That fumble was huge for the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense needed a play. That was the spark. 14-7. It was 14-7. Mahomes just turned the Chiefs just had the punt, and it looked like the Eagles might have started to take control here because the offense was looking unstoppable. On that opening drive, it literally looked like flashbacks to that Giants game where it was like, wow, the Eagles are going to score at will. But that was a huge play for the Chiefs. I think the Hurts played a great game. I think the Eagles offense as a whole played a great game. But the Eagles have not been very trained or experienced against a good team in a close game all year. It's just been blowouts. Like they haven't had a single close win against a good team. And I mean, the holding call is what it is. The Chiefs played the clock perfectly at the end with McKinnon sliding, the use of the kneeing, all that. They played the clock perfectly. I think it was a great Super Bowl as a whole. I think it was one of the best Super Bowls we've seen. And I'm gonna have another video / TikTok. I don't know what it's gonna be coming out, but it's gonna be the top ranking the last 10 Super Bowls. So from 2013, which I believe was Ravens 49ers, to now, I think this was the best Super Bowl we've seen since Eagles Patriots. I'm being real. It was way better than last year's, even though last year's was decent. It was better than last year's. It was better than Bucks. I thought Bucks Chiefs was going to be the best Super Bowl of the build up to it. I thought that was going to be the best Super Bowl of my lifetime. I was so excited. Brady, Mahomes, like the story, but obviously that game was a disaster. The Bucks blew them out. But this Super Bowl was definitely better than that one. Chiefs 49ers was a solid Super Bowl, but this one was definitely better than Chiefs 49ers. Patriots Rams was miserable. And I'd say, yeah, this was the best one since Patriots Eagles. Obviously, Patriots Eagles, Patriots Falcons. Got some classics in there. Patriots Seahawks. But this Super Bowl to me it was one of the best in a long time. It was entertaining from start to finish. Like it started off great, it ended great. It had a little unfortunate ending. You'd love to see Hurts get a chance at the end, but it checked every box for a great Super Bowl. I had a great time watching it. It was two great quarterbacks, and Mahomes got it done. I think everyone made big plays, and it was just one hell of a Super Bowl. Great game, and I don't want the holding call to ruin the game. I don't want it to ruin Hurts' performance. I think there were so many good performances. No one really flopped in this game. No one didn't show up. Um, and the fact that Mahomes is giving Hurts his kudos, giving Hurts his praise at the end of the game, it says a lot about Hurts. And I think the humility that Hurts showed at the end of the game, admitting that he's not going to put the blame on the officials. He's going to look at what he could have done better and enjoyed this experience. And the response he gave to that young little 15-year-old reporter, it says a lot about Jalen Hurts. And you could say I've been a Jalen Hurts hater, which I kind of have. I've been my doubts on Hurts. Trevor Lawrence is better. This guy's better. What Jalen Hurts showed to me in the Super Bowl, yes, he has the best roster in the NFL. Yes, his defense is loaded. Yes, he has the best line in the league. Yes, his receivers are loaded. I'm not going to act like he's the best quarterback in the league. I still don't think he is. I don't think he's top 3 yet. I definitely will say he's top 5. I'll put him there for now. 5, 6 range. I think he cemented himself in that spot for me. Yes, he is in a perfect system, but the way he ran the ball, the way he threw the ball, the way he made big plays, how poised he was, how the character that he showed. I take character into perspective when I'm looking at guys. The character and humility that he showed at the end of the game. How can you not like that guy? Jalen Hurts, great quarterback. He's a young star. he's only going up. It showed me a lot. Every doubt I had about Jalen Hurts was proven wrong in this game. Even though he didn't get the job done, I still was very impressed with Jalen Hurts, and also very impressed with the Chiefs. The Chiefs offense as a whole getting the job done again. They've already done it. The Chiefs offense has won a Super Bowl in the past. I mean, they ran the ball well. They had big completions. They were great in the red zone. They had 0 turnovers. They made another comeback victory. Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, obviously winning the Super Bowl MVP. And, obviously he had some huge runs on a bum ankle. He's playing hurt with an injury that was bothering him because it acted up in the second quarter right before halftime. To have big runs, get in the red zone, like using his legs, making big completions, making huge touchdown throws. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, what more can you say about the guy? Just a great performance in the biggest stage. And let's just go over some of those key calls that happened in the game, because it wasn't just that holding call at the end. That's the call that everyone's talking about. But I mean, you have the Miles Sanders fumble call, where a lot of people can argue that one was, karma for that last call. Like, that should have been a fumble recovery touchdown. That same guy recovered a fumble, same kind of play as the Hurts fumble. That Miles Sanders caught that, and it was a touchdown. They ruled it a touchdown, took it back, said he wasn't a full catch. He didn't gather himself. That's a controversial call. You got the Dallas Goedert catch that I was just talking about, where he kind of bobbled it. That was a pretty controversial call as well. Obviously, the holding call was a very controversial call. They had third down and something. There was a serious missed pass interference on Juju. That was definitely blatant pass interference, and the Eagles didn't get the call. So it was not called, and it was Eagles ball. So that, they kind of owed one to the Chiefs. So there was a lot of calls in that game. I hate to blame the game on the refs, especially a great game like that, and I'm not going to. A couple more things to highlight about the actual game. My personal favorite halftime commercial from that game was the Breaking Bad one. I don't have any Breaking Bad fans. If you know, you know. If you don't know Breaking Bad, you don't understand the scene. You never watched it. It's obviously not nearly as good. But the Breaking Bad commercial with the popcorners, it was just perfect. The scene was perfect. They used the characters perfectly. The scene just made perfect sense. It just meshed perfectly with the popcorners. It was funny. It was short and sweet. That was my favorite commercial. And my opinion on the halftime show, I think it was very solid. I tweeted it on Double OT Twitter. Go check it out. I said it was like a 7.5. I don't think there was anything about the performance was like so good where you'd put it like 9 or 10 with like a Michael Jackson performance, or anything like that. It was very solid, but I have no complaints about it. It was Rihanna, one of the biggest stars of our generation, absolute just female star in the music industry. She played 11 of her absolute hit songs. Every single person watching that knew those songs. Everyone knew those hits. They were great hits. The whole Super Smash Bros. Thing where they were flying up in the air on those platforms, that was cool. The dancers, there were so many of them, but they were all great. The songs were great. I think the whole, special guest, I was expecting Drake. I wanted Drake. No Drake. It was just her pregnant baby. But I think that was cool. The fact that she did it while being pregnant, that was pretty cool. A$AP rocking the crowd. Very solid. Nothing that would absolutely blow you away, but it was very strong, very solid. No complaints about the Rihanna halftime show. I thought it was pretty good. So I just think halftime show, commercials, game, absolute 10. I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10 Super Bowl. 9.5 out of 10. It's not the best ever, but it was a damn sure a great game. And now we're just going to wrap up, this segment. And we're just going to talk about what does this Super Bowl do for Patrick Mahomes? Because now let's look at Patrick Mahomes. In his 5 years as a starter, he's been to 5 AFC championships. He's been to 3 Super Bowls. He's won 2 Super Bowls. He's been to 5 Pro Bowls. He's won 2 league MVPs. And I'm just going to fact check how many All Pros does he have? How many All Pros does Patrick Mahomes have? And Patrick Mahomes, okay, it's just not going to give me the answer. Is that just what we're going to do? This is just ridiculous. Okay. Patrick Mahomes, I'm assuming he probably has like 3 or 4, maybe at least 2 All Pros under his belt as well. The argument that if he's a Hall of Famer, if his career ended right now, he's obviously a Hall of Famer, right? We need to start talking about where does he rank right now amongst the all-time great quarterbacks because we were in this conversation with LeBron. Like I'm just using LeBron as an example. When LeBron was like 28, 29 in Miami, and we were talking about where does he rank all time with Jordan and them. But he was only 29. We knew he still had a lot of years left. But he was already, did enough to cement himself in that conversation. And I think Mahomes is the same way. And in my opinion, I definitely think Mahomes is in my top 5 quarterbacks of all time. He's the best quarterback in the league. He's going to run the league. That's obvious, right? But to me, I think Patrick Mahomes is easily in the top 5. And let's just talk about some of the quarterbacks I take him over. I already take his career over Aaron Rodgers. More of a winner. There's nothing Aaron Rodgers does that he doesn't. Aaron Rodgers has probably some more MVPs, but I think Patrick Mahomes already passed Aaron Rodgers. Drew Brees has, a lot more records. I think that has to come with time. Drew Brees has some hard to beat all-time passing yards and all that. Mahomes is going to have to get there. So, I wouldn't say Drew Brees yet, but I think, honestly, I still think I would take him over Drew Brees. And then I would definitely take him over Marino. I think he's right with Elway. If Elway is really close, I really think, me personally, I would take him over Elway. I think the quarterbacks I'm taking that are above him right now are Brady, Peyton Manning, and Montana. And then he's 4, and he's battling 5 right there with Elway for me. And you could start to argue him and Peyton Manning. I mean, he's already one of the best regular season quarterbacks. He gets it done in the playoffs. He's been to 5 AFC championships. He's won 2 Super Bowls. He's lost 1 Super Bowl against the greatest of all time in a really good Bucs team. And let's not act. And he's beat some really good teams. That 49ers team he beat in 2019 was no joke. They were the number 1 seed in the NFC. They were the absolute class of the league at the time. They dominated Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in the NFC Championship. Dominated, like 38-3 dominated. That 49ers team was pretty much the same 49ers team right now, except they don't have McCaffrey. Garoppolo was very good that year, and they were loaded. That was a very good 49ers team, and he was down 20-10 in the fourth quarter and beat them. Very impressive Super Bowl victory in his second year as a starter. In his first year as a starter in the AFC Championship, played Tom Brady and the Patriots. Took Tom Brady all the way to overtime and almost won if it wasn't for that call where they got the interception. The game was over, but there was the holding call or offsides. It was offsides. Took Tom Brady to overtime. Tom Brady won the coin flip and won it on that drive. So Mahomes didn't even get a chance. That was his first year starting, and he won the MVP that year. Second year, he went to Super Bowl against the 49ers. Third year, they go up against the Bucs. He doesn't win the MVP. He makes it to the Super Bowl, and he loses to the Buccaneers. Fourth year, that was last year, probably the most, lackluster year. He was runner-up in MVP, and he lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship. Biggest knock on him is that he probably should have won that game. The Chiefs should have won that game, and I think if the Chiefs played the Rams in the Super Bowl, Chiefs would have won the Super Bowl. So last year he could have won for sure. Very good Bengals team. Biggest knock is that they had that game. They probably should have won, but then he bounces back the next year. They trade away Tyreek Hill. Are they going to be as good without Tyreek? What's the offense going to look like? Can Mahomes get it done without Tyreek? Can Mahomes get it done without Tyreek, right? What does he do? Well, everyone in his division gets better, and they trade away Tyreek Hill, goes out and wins a Super Bowl with pretty lackluster wide receivers. I mean, no one really special. Juju Smith-Schuster, Sky Moore. Excuse me. Got to make sure the computer doesn't die on me. Sky Moore, Juju Smith-Schuster, the Watson guy. Obviously, you have Travis Kelce, Kadarius Toney. No real stars in that offense. A rookie running back, but with Andy Reid, wins a Super Bowl, defeats a very good Eagles team, the team that was the number 1 seed in the entire league, 14-3. That's loaded. You're gonna look at this Eagles roster 5 years from now and go, damn, that team is loaded. Like off top to bottom, from coach to defense to O-line to weapons to secondary to everything to backup quarterback, backup quarterback in the league too. Runner up to MVP. They had the runner up to MVP. Chiefs had the MVP. Eagles had the best O-line in the league. Chiefs have probably top 3. Chiefs got Chris Jones. Well, the Eagles have Hassan Reddick. Chiefs have Chris Humphrey. Well, the Eagles got Jason Kelce. They got Dallas Goedert, Chiefs got Travis Kelce. Like, they're very evenly matched, and the Eagles are probably even just as loaded. They are just as loaded. And, I mean, you pull out another come from behind, down 10 at halftime victory. I think what Mahomes has done has already cemented himself as a top 3 quarterback. I personally think when it's all said and done, he'll be my greatest of all time. Just because I grew up and the things I'm seeing him do, this was huge for Mahomes. And, like, especially now that the Chiefs traded away Tyreek Hill, they got a bunch of draft picks. Like, the Chiefs have draft picks. Like, this isn't like the Rams where, like, they went all out for a ring and now next year they're just going to fall apart. Like, the Chiefs might only get better. Like, you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. With that, you're always going to be a contender with those two guys. Then you got Travis Kelce. Pacheco's a rookie. Creed Humphrey's really young. They got to see what they do with Orlando Brown in free agency. And then you got all these draft picks that you got for Tyreek. Like, while everyone in your division, like the Chargers, spent big money on re-signing Derwin James, J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, spent all this money just to lose in the first round. Denver Broncos traded away all their draft picks to get Russell Wilson. Having a top 3 pick being one of the worst teams in the league. Raiders spent big money on Devontae Adams, new head coach. Don't even make the playoffs. So everyone in their division was doing that, and what did they do? Refine their O-line and trade away Tyreek Hill, and they win the Super Bowl. It's just an absolute masterclass from Mahomes, an absolute masterclass from Andy Reid. And we're talking about Andy Reid now. You got to put Mahomes in that conversation. You also got to start talking about Andy Reid. You stack up Andy Reid's resume to Bill Belichick's. You're never going to be able to say he's better than Belichick because Belichick has 6 rings, right? Belichick has 6 rings as a head coach. You know, Andy Reid that's his third. Just got his third. But everything else, playoff wins, playoff appearances, playoff losses, regular season wins, they're really close. And Andy Reid has a lot more wins coming. Trust me, Andy Reid has a lot more winning seasons on the way. Andy Reid has to be, to me at least, he's a top 5 coach of all time. Of all time. Talking about the best coaches of all time. I'm not going to get deep into that. I wouldn't be as strong in that conversation. But for me, at least, from what I've seen, Andy Reid is a top 5 head coach of all time in his league. How great he's been for how long with multiple different franchises. I think that says a lot. Belichick was so good with one franchise and won 6 rings, so you can't really argue that. But how good Andy Reid was with the Eagles, and now how good he is with the Chiefs and the dynasty he's building with the Chiefs is really cementing himself, for me at least, as a top 5 head coach of all time. And I think Andy Reid and Mahomes is going to be right up there with Brady, Belichick, and those that's just dominant QB head coach duo that just was a dynasty that ran the league. And it's awesome seeing it unfold. And the Chiefs are far from finished. And this Super Bowl was huge for them. And it was an awesome game. So much credit to Mahomes. So much credit to Andy Reid. So much credit to the Eagles. It was an awesome Super Bowl. I'm going to be coming at whenever, as soon as possible. I need so much NBA content. We got to talk about KD. We got to talk about Kyrie. There's so much going on in the NBA. And, I'm going to get John on here. Maybe he could talk about the Super Bowl. I'd love to get some more insight from another point of view. Maybe they got different takes on that's different from mine about the calls, about the game. And definitely going to be doing that, ranking the last 10 Super Bowls. I'm very excited for that. Maybe I'll get a guest on for that one as well. But yeah, so much going on. I'm very excited to start getting back on my grind. Off season coming up from basketball. I'm going to be trying to be uploading a lot. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. I'm going to try to keep this one not too long. I'll see you guys soon in the next episode of Double OT. Peace out.